Hi and welcome to another 5-minute session, and this time about using the curves that you have in the nodes here. So I have just added a wave texture right now, and now we add curves, and we have two types. So we have an RGB curve. So if I press Shift A, go to color, there you can see we have an RGB curve. And we also have a float curve. So if I press Shift A again, but in this time go to converter, you can see here that we have a float curve that we can put in here. So this is for one value in, that is not a vector, and this is for a vector or a color in. And we can look at the RGB curve first. And how it works is that you can put in a color or vector, and then you can change the result of that vector inside here with RG and B colors. So let's say that we take the generated in here for the color, and first of all we can just look at the colors. Then you can see that we get these green, blue and red and so on here. And if I now change, let's see that we change the red here, so then it starts. If I just can do it like this first, we can separate them. So Shift A, converter, separate X, Y, Z, because it's easier to discuss in that case. So if I use the X here, that will be the same as red, Y will be the same as green, and Z will be the same as blue here. So if I use the X here, you can see it's black here and it's white here. So it's meaning it goes from 0 to 1. And that is also the default here. So we start at 0 and we end at 1. So in the default for R, G and B, you see no difference if I put in that directly to the color here and to the vector and to the base color here. So we will not change how the wave texture looks from the beginning. But we can change these values. So if I now drag this bit up, you can see that I now change the diagonal on this curve to reflect the curve here. So if I do it like this, you can see that it gets round here. So you can do, just click on the lines here, and then you can do more lines. You cannot, however, drag something that goes below the next point here. So it must like always go in this way. So you cannot do like rotation or something like that. But you can increase and decrease the curve in different ways. So now you can see when I take it up here, it goes down here. To fix that, when RGB, if you just want to be the curve just together with wave texture, then you can go to the green here and just revert it. So like this. And if you revert it, then this will follow in a good way. So whatever I do up here, it will also be down here. And this is a very simple and good way to work with the curves if you don't know how to change a pattern mathematically. And right now you can see it's rather soft here, but you can also use a vector handle at this sharp. And if you sharp vector handle, then you get also the sharp edges here. And you can also change that to be clamped if you want different ways here. So you have different formats for each point here, depending on how you would like to do it. And you also have all the values here, so you can see how you change them. Up here you can have a reset of the view, meaning that you can zoom in or zoom out stuff here. And when you are finished with that, you just reset view and you're back again. You can also extend it so it fits horizontal, or extend it extrapolated, but you can also reset the curve. And if you press a reset curve, it goes back like this. So that is basically how it works. And the float is exactly the same thing, but we only have it for one. So in here I have to separate the generator, so Shift A, converter, separate X, Y, Z, put that in, and I can put the X to the value here, and then I need to combine them. So Shift A, converter, combine, x, y, z. So put that in here, and we can put the y in here, and then we get the result out here. We can also put the z in here. So now we have a result from the x and the y and the z, but it should not be there, it should be from the generated. And now I can change here in the same way. So if I drag this up, you can see it changes, and when I do this, it changes, but on the wrong direction. And in that case, you can just put in a subtract here. So Shift D, convert the math, and then subtract with 1, and you get the same thing as with the RGB here. So that is base for how you can work with the curves to make simple patterns, and that you don't need for patterns. You can also use it if you need to decrease or increase values to make like an ambient occlusion more visible or something else. But it's a visible way to change values in a good way. So now you know a little bit about the curves as well, and hope you have learned something today, and I say bye for now and see you tomorrow.